Hey, yo, ¿qué pasa YouTube? AKA, what's up YouTube? Welcome to the draft analysis for the DURHAM DRUDDIGONS in APA Academy lower tier. Now, we have competed in APA before, although the main APA is currently on a break from Wi-Fi. So the Academy decided to do a lower tier version for Wi-Fi this time around, and I was like, I'm so down to do that because it's been forever since I've been a part of a lower tier Wi-Fi league. The last one I did was I want to say like 2 years ago, was P4G lower tier, and we ended up winning that league. So hopefully we can win the championship here again in a Wi-Fi lower tier league. If I remember, I'll try and leave the P4G lower tier run somewhere on your screen or down in the description. That was back in 7th gen though, so things have obviously drastically changed from then till now, but hey, there's still so many awesome lower tier Pokemon. So if you guys are excited for this, make sure to Dragon Claw that YouTube algorithm, leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe to see our run for this season. Now, I do plan to upload a recap of my BBL season hopefully on Monday. NTP I'll cover in tomorrow's draft analysis video, which a little hint wink wink there for those of you who may not know or may not follow me on Twitter. So yeah, we are in APA Academy lower tier here this time around. I think this is like season 6 of the APA Academy. They wanted to do lower tier, and I was so down to do this because I really love lower tier in general. I've always loved lower tier since I first got into Pokemon many years ago, and I was definitely down to be a part of this. We have some familiar faces like my boy Shuckleking, we have Vepsis, and like mid-tier PokeMaster and MattOshea. We have a bunch of new faces too that we haven't faced at all, which I'm really excited for as well. All their channel links and stuff will be down below for you guys to go ahead and check out. So let's hop into this. So first things first, huge shout outs to my friend, I don't know what I was about to say, my good friend Shuckleking87, who helped me draft for this league, and another huge shout out to a new homie, Mr. Alphabet Boy, who is a coach in one of a showdown lower tier league that I'm in, which I do plan to upload. I just got to get around to it. I asked him for some help while I was drafting, and he was totally down for it. So big thanks to him as well for helping me make my decisions here. I don't know if he's got a YouTube or not, but I think he runs a Discord, so I'll leave his Discord down in the description for you guys to go check out. And yeah, so we can hop right into this. Now, me being unlucky as I am, even though I guess to be fair in NTP we did have a little bit of fluctuation on that end, I ended up getting pick number 10 out of 16, which really sucked because I was hoping to at least get one of either Zydog, Noivern, or Cobalion. Those three were like my main 3 Pokemon I was really hoping I could get. I honestly thought maybe Noivern or Cobalion would fall to 10 because not a lot of people are high on Noivern, and Cobalion, not being a pure steel type, doesn't make it as valuable, but it's a great setup mon, and Noivern is just really versatile. And then Zydog was kind of reaching just because Zydog is actually stupidly good in lower tier because it can just spam 1,000 arrows, and obviously there's less grass types to check it. So at number 10, I was kind of debating on what I really wanted. I was thinking either like Crobat, Aerodactyl. I think Celebi was like the highest point mon. The highest points were like 16. So I went like 16, 15, and then downwards. And I think we had 120 points for 11 mons. It was 110 or 120. I don't remember off the top of my head. You can do the math as the Pokemon pop up. And yeah, I'm going to be doing something a little different here. I know you see the little square there. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I ended up getting picked 10 out of 16, and the mon I actually got was one I wasn't really considering. It was actually mentioned to me by my boy Shuckleking, and that is going to be Circuitry. Now, yes, I know Circuitry does not get access to Tail Glow in Gen 8 because they took it out. So that's not really the worst thing ever, considering that it still gets access to Calm Mind, which is still pretty decent coming off of a base 173 special attack set. Plus, the nice thing about Circuitry is that this thing kind of just smacks ground types anyways, which is like the only thing that stops it. Unless it's like Blissey, Snorlax, Porygon 2, basically a fat normal or a ground type. Actually, yeah, unless it's a fat normal, really, then Circuitry can just kind of power through basically it's normal counters. Like, it even gets Dazzling Gleam to hit dragons, so I'm not worried about that, and dragons are already very limited in lower tier format regardless, so I probably won't even have to run Dazzling Gleam. If anything, I do see myself maybe running Energy Ball like every week, but I feel like that's kind of a given if my opponent has a ground type and I have an electric type with 173 base special attack stat. That's disgusting. Plus, there's some pretty like creative sets I've kind of like thought that I want to try out through the season. Not gonna spoil anything, but there are some cool things that Circuitry could potentially do. Yeah, its coverage is not the greatest. It's literally like just Energy Ball and Dazzling Gleam. But why does it matter when I have a base 173 special attack stat that I can Calm Mind up with and get beast boosts from and just absolutely smack everything with like volt switches too? Ooh, choice specs volt switches from this if they don't have a ground type. Oh baby, I'm actually really excited for Circuitry. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really excited. I've never ever used an Ultra Beast before in a draft league, like literally. Huh? No, if you go, I mean probably won't, but if you ever go through like my draft analysis of like any drafts I've ever been in from 7th gen to now, I've never used an Ultra Beast. So I've also obviously never used Circuitries in a draft. So I'm really excited for this. I'm really hoping that this thing is going to be pulling its weight here for our first round pick overall. I do have high hopes for it. And yeah, I mean, basically it's just here to kind of smack things on the special side. Its speed is pretty decent, like 83 is not the worst thing ever, but it's still pretty solid for what it's worth, especially in lower tier. So moving on to round number 2 here, I was really set on getting a good steel type for round number 2. There was a few picks honestly that I really wanted here, and I figured, you know what, the most valuable one that I think that I want is going to be my steel type. So me being the how do you say it? I don't know what to call it, but I got Steelix. I am the Steelix simp, I guess you could say. I love Steelix. I don't know why I love Steelix so much. I've drafted this. Well, I guess at this point I've been in 3 lower tier drafts and I've drafted it every single time. I drafted it in P4G, I got it in the Showdown lower tier draft league that I'm in, and I got it here in APA Academy. Now, there were some comments saying that round 2 Steelix was way too early, round 2 Steelix is way too soon, especially when other things like Registeel, Bronzong were on the board. But honestly, in my opinion, I feel like Steelix is the best steel type in a lower tier format, especially because it's so reliable. It's always going to be able to get up stealth rocks. The fact that it is also a ground type is very beneficial because it kind of compresses rolls into one Pokemon. So now I don't have to worry about getting another ground type later unless I want to. The only downside is though is that because now I have a steel and a ground type, I need to find different rockers, which I immediately took into consideration, but I was like, I'm happy with it. I got Steelix round 2. I was more or less expecting it to come back to me. I was thinking of maybe trying to pass it up, but I was like, I really want Steelix, man. I really want Steelix. It's been so reliable for me in the P4G and in the SDL. Did I say PMU earlier? I meant SDL lower tier. I'm sorry if I said PMU lower tier. I'll put something on the screen fixing it or whatever. But we got Steelix here round 2 again. Could be a little bit early. I think its cost was 11 points. So yeah, there were still some really good things on the board, some other high cost value mons, but I figured that for how I want this draft to turn out, I really like the compression of Steelix being a steel, a rocker, sorry, and a ground type. It also can phase, it can set up, it gets body press now, which is cool. Sheer Force is always awesome as well. Even Dragon Dance could be something cool that I may want to try out. But yeah, love Steelix. Awesome Pokemon in lower tier, 100%. Moving on to our next round pick here. This was a mon I was actually really surprised lasted until round 3, especially because its counterpart went earlier, I think in round 2 or late round 2, early round 3. So I didn't expect it to come back to me, and that is going to be Mesprit. I actually had my eye on Mesprit. I almost wanted to go Mesprit round 2 instead of Steelix, but I was like, I value Steelix more than Mesprit. And instead of Mesprit here, I was also debating another Pokemon, which actually came back to me round 4, which is insane when you see what our round 4 pick is. So for round 3 here, we got Mesprit, which is awesome. I don't think I've drafted Mesprit before. I've used it a little bit in lower tiers before when it was allowed back in 7th gen. Haven't tried it too much out in 8th gen here, but it does get access now to Nasty Plot, which is actually really cool because this means that not only can it be a really good defensive mon, but coming off of a base 105 special attack stat at +2, this thing is going to be smacking a lot of Pokemon if they are not prepared for it. Its base 80 speed is pretty solid for the lower tier format, making it faster than a good majority of mons, and its bulk means that it can definitely tank hits very easily. It gets access to Healing Wish, which is awesome because that's going to be loved by circuitries, especially. I can definitely see myself running that sometimes throughout this season, potentially. Momentum with U-Turn, gets access to so many support moves as well. Like, it's Mesprit, man. It's a ground immunity, which I desperately needed. It's our rocker as well, because we already have our steel and our ground type that is a rocker in one. So now we have a second reliable rocker. And at this point, I was like, you know what? I got Steelix and Mesprit as rockers. I don't really need another stealth rocker. Like, these two are amazing at, they're always going to get up stealth rocks. I don't care if I have to run rocks on one or the other every single week. They're always going to be set up. So I was like, yes, Mesprit, round 3, awesome, awesome, awesome. I'll definitely take it. And then moving on to round number 4, this is the mon I was really surprised was still around, because I almost went this round 3 instead of Mesprit, and that is going to be Aerodactyl, aka Cesaro, the only Pokemon right now that I have a nickname for. Cesaro here. For those of you who have seen me do Gen 7 draft leagues, you will know I love Mega Aerodactyl. Mega Aerodactyl is my all-time favorite Mega. It's so awesome. I love its design. And when Era was still here round 4, I was like, yes, I'm taking it. It's great value for round 4. Its point value was 14. I have it right here on my phone. I don't know if you can see. But yeah, its point value was 14, which is actually really good, especially because now it gets access to Dragon Dance. Like, yeah, its Rock Stab is not the best because it's really only kind of Stone Edge. I think it gets Head Smash, does it? No, it does not. Hold on. Am I looking at this wrong? Yeah, we split the format incorrectly. Yeah, it doesn't even get Head Smash, but like Stone Edge is pretty decent. It got access to Dual Wing Beat though, which is actually really nice because, excuse me, which is actually really nice because it can bypass berries if I don't want to run Unnerve, and I can also break substitutes with it, which is also really handy. Speaking of Unnerve, that is actually kind of an insane ability if you really think about it, because sometimes people use walls with berries to stop threats. And now that berry can be activated against my setup threat, which is amazing. Plus the speed tier is spectacular. Base 130, this is like one of the fastest mons in the format. Really happy that I got Aerodactyl here. It's got such great coverage as well with its Elemental Fangs, Crunch, Edge Quake, Flying Stab. Like, it just can do so much. If it just had momentum, man, if it got U-Turn, it'd be perfect, but it's fine. So let's move on to our round 5 pick here, which is going to be Virizion, which I'm not gonna lie, I never thought I would draft Virizion, but sorry about that, kids in the background. But yeah, Virizion is a Pokemon I never thought I would be drafting, but I realized that it actually kind of fits pretty well with the theme or the plan that I had going for my draft, because this allows me to have a really good switch into knockoff Pokemon, which a knockoff in general is just a really good move in draft league format, being able to get rid of items. And then this having Justified, I get a free +1 in my attack stat. I will gladly take that. Not to mention that this absolutely murders ground types and grass types. No, sorry, it murders ground types and water types for my Xurkitree and Aerodactyl respectively, which is amazing. A Pokemon that can get rid of 2 giant threats for 2 of my offensive threats, I will gladly take. Not to mention that its bulk is actually pretty decent, so if I really wanted to, I could definitely run this defensively, which I could see myself maybe running this season. It can be mixed, it can be offensive. I've seen Scarf ran before in a draft league, which was kind of wild because it's only got 90 attack, but it's not the worst thing ever. And I couldn't get Cobalion, so I had to settle for Virizion, which it's fine. So moving on to our next pick here, I realized that at this point, okay, fairies are starting to get a little bit abysmal. Like, there's not many good fairies. There was like 6 fairies I was looking at, and I think there was like 5 people after me that didn't have a fairy still. So I figured, okay, I can at least get one of these fairies on the way back. And the people after me, I think, all had fairies at that point. I don't quite remember, but I realized that I need to get a fairy this round 6, or else I'm gonna risk not getting a good fairy. So the fairy that I really wanted was Comfey, but the more I looked at it, I was like, Aromatisse for 8 points is actually kind of crazy. Like, 8 points Aromatisse is really good, especially because it's so disgustingly bulky, base 101 HP. I don't know why I couldn't say that. It's got base 72 defense and 89 SPDF. Yeah, 72 defense is not that impressive, but in lower tier, obviously there's not as many heavy hitting mons, so this thing is actually really disgustingly bulky. Not to mention that it doesn't just need to be a defensive mon, it gets access to Trick Room and Nasty Plot, which can give it an offensive prowess if I really want to go down that route. But being able to pass wishes to like Mesprit, Steelix, Xurkitree, potentially anything else on our team is actually going to be disgusting, because I don't think anything reaches over like base 90 HP that we have so far, or that we could potentially get later. So they're going to be getting back a good, I don't know what that face was, a good chunk of HP. So I'm really happy to use Aromatisse here, not to mention that its ability means it can't be encored, it can't be taunted. So how are you going to stop me from just going for Wish? You tell me, because I don't know. Well, actually, no, I do know, but we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details because I don't want to give my opponents any ideas. So yeah, really happy to have Aromatisse here. I have it in no, why am I saying SMU? SDL lower tier, and it's been a beast in there. So yeah, really happy to have it here. Actually, I have Steelix plus Aromatisse and SDL, and that core is just really handy, honestly. So hoping it is just as effective here in the Wi-Fi lower tier that we are in currently, which is APA. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to transition here. So we have our 7th round pick, which is the Pokemon that I hold very near and dear to my heart. It gets a lot of shit talk from my boys Shuckleking and Harris. I don't know why they hate this Pokemon so much. I love it personally. That is going to be Guntank. Yes, Guntank. It's been forever since I've used Guntank, and much like Mesprit, it also got access to Nasty Plot this season, this generation. Plus, it gets Play Rough, which is actually kind of cool because this allows me to now hit opposing dark types, but more importantly, I can hit fighting types super effectively, which is very awesome because it's a poison type that doesn't resist fighting moves. It's neutral to them because it's part dark, which is not really the worst thing ever because we have Mesprit and Aromatisse as fighting resists. So I figured, you know what, it's not that big of an issue if we get a poison that doesn't exactly resist fighting. It's neutral. Plus, its Aftermath ability means I can get some really good little bit of revenge damage on any type of physical mon that I really want to try and pick off after sacrificing Guntank. Having access to Stab, Sucker Punch is also really nice. Base 93 physical attack with Sucker Punch. Stabbed is actually really strong. I think this is our second mon with only over base 100 HP at 103, which is not really that big of an issue, honestly. And its base speed is 84. We do have a little bit of repetitive speed tiers in the base 80 format with Xurkitree, Mesprit, and Guntank, but it's not really like the biggest issue in my opinion. I'm not really too concerned about that. That just means I could probably run more bulk or some weird speed creeping that my opponents have to watch out for. I don't know. Regardless though, Guntank is awesome. It can be a mixed wall. It can be offensively mixed as well. Access to Nasty Plot is actually really exciting. I definitely want to run Nasty Plot Guntank sometime this season, so I'm hoping I will be able to get to do that. And I really like Guntank, man. Guntank is so dope. I don't know why. Like, I love its design. It reminds me, I guess that would actually be kind of bad. It reminds me of like an old cartoon character that I used to watch when I was a kid. I can't remember the name. I don't know. If I remember, I'll put it on the screen, but it just reminds me of that. And I was like, I really like Guntank. I don't know. I love that its design is also really cool. So yeah, moving on to our next pick here, which is pick number 8. Yes, it is pick number 8. This was a mon that I was really debating. Like, at this point, I realized, okay, I need to get a water type, but at the same time, like, I have so many points, I can still get something that's like very high valued as well. And there's a few 10+ point mons that I was looking at that I wanted to get. I could get one of those 10+ point mons, and I was like, let's see what happens after I pick my water type this round, because water types at this point were like basically gone. Everything was gone. There was like no water types left whatsoever. There was like 1 point Marshtomp, which I would have gladly got, but MarioBee ended up getting it, which is fine. Love Marshtomp. I actually used that in my P4G run for lower tier, and it was actually really amazing. Like, it's disgustingly bulky. It really, Eviolite Marshtomp can tank hits like a beast, honestly. So yeah, I really wanted that for 1 point, but it got picked. It's not the worst thing ever. And I was looking around for water types, and I was like, you know what? This water type actually kind of looks really cool. It hits really hard as well. if I want to use it offensively, and it gets access to Flip Turn, and that is going to be Clawitzer, which was 6 points, which I think it's actually valued pretty good at 6 points. Obviously, it's not the most bulky water type around, but then again, I do have my Aromatisse that can just pass wishes to it. It's got base 120 special attack stat, which means this thing can hit ridiculously hard, especially with Mega Launcher boosting its cannon moves. I think it boosts like Aura Sphere, Dark Pulse. Oh no, it boosts Pulse moves. What am I talking about? Yes, okay, I'm done. Yeah, like Dark Pulse, Water Pulse. I think it boosts Flash Cannon and Aura Sphere too. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've used a Pokemon with Mega Launcher, and I've never used Clawitzer before, honestly. I don't even think I've tried it out that much in lower tier either, like in like NU or PU or wherever it was put in for tiering wise. But yeah, it just looked like a really nice fit. Again, not the most bulky water around, but I could run it like Assault Vested. I really just liked it because it was a water type, it hit hard, and it got access to Flip Turn. Its coverage is actually pretty nice as well, honestly, so it's not really the worst Pokemon ever. It gets Sword. Wait, why does it get Swords Dance? Okay, I never even knew it got Swords Dance, but hey, it gets Swords Dance. It gets Aqua Jet apparently. Base 73 attack is not the worst, I guess. I mean, it could be better, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Some nice bulk, 88 defense and 89 speed def. 59 speed, obviously not the best speed ever, but I'm not really too concerned about that, honestly. So moving on to our round 9 pick here. This was the Pokemon that I was like, all right, I want this to be my 110+ point mon, and then from there, my last 2 mons can be just whatever 2 values I can get. And I was really debating between either Chandelure or this pick, and that is going to be Alolan Marowak. Now, when I tell you guys, I hate Alolan Marowak, I would never draft it. I would never even consider it in a standard draft. I would never consider it in a regular draft. But looking at lower tier, looking at what everybody else had drafted at this point, I was like, holy crap! Alolan Marowak just kind of murders everything. Like, yeah, the downside is base 45 speed, but we have Trick Room and Aromatisse and Mesprit. So now, in Trick Room, this thing can come in, outspeed everything, and it's basically pick a death fodder, any death fodder, things are going to drop. So yeah, its speed is very abysmal, obviously. Its typing is actually really, really cool, same typing as Chandelure. But again, I was looking at matchups and I figured Alolan Whack probably has better matchups than Chandelure. Plus, Alolan Whack gives me a really, really hard-hitting physical breaker because we already have circuitry to hit super hard on the special side. I didn't really have too much to hit hard on the physical side, but now with the Alolan Whack, here we are, baby. We can smack things on the physical side with this, or we can smack things on the special side with circuitry. This thing is going to be putting in so much work. Knockoff, Poltergeist, Flare Blitz with Rock Head. I was gonna say Rocky Head, but it's Rock Head. Even Lightning Rod is very, very useful. Curse Body as well. I did not realize Alolan Marowak had 3 really good useful abilities. So yeah, I could definitely see myself running Alolan Marowak a few times throughout the season. If not, then it's just there to be just a scary threat that my opponents need to prep for. This also gave me a 4th Stealth Rocker, which I didn't really need. Like, I was perfectly fine with Steelix and Mesprit. The fact that I got Aerodactyl round 4 was like, yes, I'll definitely take that. And now we have Alolan Whack here, which could also rocks, which is really nice. So yeah, this thing I'm really hoping puts in a lot of work. I absolutely hate it in standard, but I'll give it a chance here in lower tier and see how it goes. So moving on to our second to last pick here. I think at this point I had 5 points left. So I was kind of flip-flopping, debating between like 3, 4, 5, 7 different versions of like the last 2 Pokemon that I could have. Again, shouts out to Alphabet Boy for helping me decide on my last 2 and my boy Shuckleking as well. So I figured that, you know what? I'm going to take this. This was a Pokemon that was made very clear to me early on in the draft by Shuckle because he saw it at 3 points and it was like, this is 3 points. This is stupid. And because he couldn't fit it in his draft plan, I was like, well, if you can't fit it, then I'm going to get it. And that is going to be Ninjask. Now, hear me out here. Hear me out here. For 3 points, base 160 speed with speed boost. This doesn't ever need to run Jolly. I could just run Adamant and do so much damage with it. Now, obviously, I guess it does kind of force Rocky Helmet Mons, but why is that a problem? Like, Rocky Helmet Mons are not really the worst thing ever. If they're running Rocky Helmet, that means they're not running Recovery, they're not running a Berry, they're not running like Assault Vest or a Choice Item or something along those lines. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Now, obviously, I will probably have to run Heavy Duty Boots more often than not because our removal is Aerodactyl and Guntank, which obviously I don't want to always remove with Aerodactyl, but it is a speedy form of removal, and if necessary, I can remove with Guntank. Actually, that's another reason I really wanted Guntank, because it got access to defog, and with its speed, it's a very reliable defogger. And yeah, Ninjask does get defog as well, so if I ever really want to go down that route, I can run defog on this, but I'm not too concerned about it because, again, I don't mind running Heavy Duty Boots on this. I'm just going to be running Adamant on it most likely because it can just run U-turn, dual wing beat, Swords Dance if I really wanted to with speed boost, like Self Protect even could be something kind of cool that I would want to try out. Like, there's so many different things that Ninjask could potentially do, and for 3 points, even I felt that was way too low for this. I'm hoping that I can definitely use Ninjask very effectively this season, because this paired up with Aerodactyl gives us kind of like a little flying spam core, which is actually really, really cool because we have so many Pokemon that can just murder steel types, rock types, and electric types for Ninjask and Aerodactyl to just kind of come in and smack things with dual wing beat. Or even if I wanted to go like itemless acrobatics, I could try that as well. But yeah, there's quite a few things that Ninjask can honestly do that I'm hoping I'll be able to do with it this season. So yeah, moving on to our final pick here. For 2 points, I decided to get regular Porygon. Now, Porygon 2 was allowed, but that was like 15 points. So ooh, that was that would not have come back to us. Yeah, obviously because I got picked. But yeah, that was way too much. But for 2 points, normal Porygon is actually not that bad. It's got base 65 HP, 70 defense, and 75 Spadef with the Eviolite in lower tier. I can kind of see that honestly tanking hits pretty well. It still gets access to Recover, it gets Trick Room, it gets Teleport, Tri-Attack, it gets Trace, it gets Download, even Analytic could be really cool. Base 85 special attacks at a +1 is still going to be doing some decent little bit of damage. So yeah, Porygon 2 I think for 2 points, much like Ninjask for 3, was kind of a steal as well. So really happy with these last 2 picks. And yeah, that's our draft. This was a little bit longer than I wanted to be. I was going to try and make this under 20 minutes, but I apologize. I just rambled because I was so excited, man. We got so many awesome Pokemon. I'm really excited for lower tier here. Please let me know what you guys think about our draft in the comment section below. Draft recaps, draft analysis for our second draft league will be going up tomorrow. BBL season recap will hopefully be going up on Monday. I'm going to try and get that up. So yeah, guys, we're going to be starting a new league. Week 1 goes up next Saturday for this league. And then, yeah, week 1 goes up for our next league Sunday next week. Anyways, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm really hopeful that this draft can put in a lot of work this season. And I think with that being said, I will see you all tomorrow and next week with week 1. So yeah, let me know what y'all think about it down below. Later, everybody.